Let's take a look now at my handicapping methodology. I have to use my sheet here. Let's do the hutch. What I've done, of course, is this thing we're all used to seeing, which is the horse name, the sire, the jockey, the running style, which kind of shows what the race might like, where the horses are running on the track, the way I've laid it out. Performances 2010, 2009, the venue where they would run from, their last three finish positions, the last three speeds with the bris numbers. And here's a new one I've basically introduced because distance is irrelevant because the Derby distances, they're all stretching out to that. So nobody's run at the distance. And I can't get into the distances at this point with sprints and 6 furlongs and 8 furlongs. I just can't. Not at this point with these 3-year-olds. So I've introduced a new statistic. And what that is the plus, plus, minus. A plus here this is the last race, the race before, and sometimes I'll have 4 if there's like a real dog-do race in there that may be a throwout. I only did this with Radiohead because he did so badly, as Dana said, in the Breeders' Cup. What the pluses mean is that as he finishes the race, is he gaining lengths on the winner or losing lengths on the winner? All right? Or if he's won, is he gaining lengths as he speeds ahead, or are people catching up to him? So a horse can win the race and get a negative if his margin starts to decrease as he's at the finish line. I find this a helpful tool because as I've said before, recency is and performance in the last 3 races is just what I'm focusing on right now, and it served me very well in the Breeders' Cup. So you can see I've highlighted Wildcat Frankie because, all right, he has the running style of speed and stalk. I need to mention that a speed, Seattle Slew, my hero, oh my God, on paper, always ran a running style of the front. He had a perfect running style. He was always gaining lengths, and he had such solid wins. So I can't throw out speed horses that have good records. And here's a horse with very good records, Wildcat Frankie. 2 races in 210, win in place. 1 race, 1 win and 1 place in 2009 in Florida. He won his last 3 races. His speed figures were 90, 104, 104, which isn't good. That's not great that he's kind of slowed down as he gets older. And he's also had negative plus. So even though I like him, I'm a little nervous about that. So I won't pick him as the winner. And he's a horse for the course, 2-1-1. So you can pretty much count on him not hating the course. These horses all suck in their last race. I mean, it's really interesting. There's a 7, a 6th, a 4th, a 6th, a 7th, a 6th. I mean, like these horses really, 13th, really did shit in their last race. So that's, what Dana's talking about. The Funny Bone, there we go. Edgar Prado's riding, which is always a good thing. The 2 running styles here of press and stalk. What is that? It's press and speed. I'm sorry. He pressed the pace in one and one at the front. I like a little more consistency in the running styles, or someone who can do all 3 and win, like City Trooper. 6-2-1. So anyway, the Funny Bone didn't race in 210, 5-3-1-0 in 2002. The Wildcat, very good speed figures last year. Lost ground in the Breeders' Cup, but gained ground in the 2 races prior to that. 1-1-2 in the races prior to that. So who knows? And here's my pick for the winner of this race. A Little Warm, Storm and Fever. Presses the pace. 1 for 1 this year, which I like. Improves over last year's form of 4 races, 1 win and 2 places. Florida, Delaware. Won the last 2 races, came in second. And look at the speed numbers. 106, 97, 91. Gained in lengths in the last 2 spots. And horse for the course. A Little Warm for the hutch. Okay, now let's move on to the next race. Okay. Fountain of Youth. Okay. The Fountain of Youth. I'm going to read it like a professional here. The Fountain of Youth at Gulfstream Park was run for the first time in 1945. After a few distance changes, it settled in at a mile and a 16th in 1953 and stayed that way till 2005 when it was stretched to a mile and an eighth. Last year the race was run at a mile, but it's back to a mile and an eighth this year. You wonder what's in the minds of these racing people, secretaries. Actually, if I read more, I would know, but whatever. For nearly 50 years, the race has served as a prep for the Florida Derby, the centerpiece on Gulfstream Park's racing calendar. In 1957, Iron Liege, that year's Kentucky Derby winner, I was born in 1957, today's my birthday, finished second to General Duke. The following year, Tim Tam won the Fountain of Youth on the way to win the Florida Derby, Kentucky Derby, and the Preakness. Cowie King, 1966. Spectacular Bid, who we like, 1979, and Thunder Gulch, 1995, also won the Fountain of Youth and 2 legs of the Triple Crown. Other horses of note who ran in the race en route to winning the Roses in Kentucky include Carryback in 1961, Pleasant Colony, my favorite ever horse, 1981, Swale, 1984, Unbridled, 1990, another one of my favorite horses, Go for Gin, 1994, Thunder Gulch, 1995, Unbridled, along with Proud Truth, 1985, also won the Breeders' Cup Classic. The same year they ran in the Fountain of Youth, in 1969, Arts and Letters finished second in the Fountain of Youth during one of the most remarkable 3-year-old campaigns of the 20th century. A field of 10 coats is set to go this year's Fountain of Youth, but all eyes will be on Buddy Saint. Buddy Saint has only had 3 career races, but it was his dominating wins in the Nashua and Remsen at Aqueduct last November that have put him on the top of many Derby lists. See how long that lasts. Some have questioned his competition in those 2 races. On Saturday, we will get an indication if he is worthy of the hype. Jackson Ben, who had the 5-race win streak broken in the Holy Bull last month, and the regally bred Escandiera, who comes off a wire-to-wire win at Gulfstream Park at an allowance, will be among the contenders trying to beat Buddy Saint. Nick Zito, who trains Jackson Ben, will also send Icebox, who won an allowance race at a mile and an eighth in his first race as a 3-year-old at Gulfstream on January 18th. Just want to say one thing about Buddy Saint and his pedigree. A lot of those horses don't develop till like they're 4 or 5 years old. Out of the Pleasant Colony, St. Liam, Beck. And I love those horses. I'm very, very, very biased towards them. But they're not necessarily the greatest 2 and 3-year-olds. But he's a good 2-year-old, so who knows. Prince Will.I.Am appears to have woken up in his last race when he finished second to Drosselmeyer, my pick, one of the favorites, of course, in a stakes race in New Orleans, also scheduled for Saturday. What? An interesting unknown is Lost Aptitude. Oh, wait, Drosselmeyer's in the other race. Okay. An interesting unknown is Lost Aptitude, who has won well in 6 lifetime races all over the turf. Yeah, we don't know about that. He has graded stakes place with a second in the Tropical Park Derby at Calder Racecourse. If he can transfer that form to dirt and overcome his outside post position, he could be a player at a square price for trainer Dale Romans, who has a 25% winning percentage at Gulfstream Park this year. The Todd Pletcher-trained Aconite will try to rebound from a dull effort in the Holy Bull Stakes. The winner of this year's Fountain of Youth will emerge as one of the favorites for the Florida Derby to be run March 27th at Gulfstream Park. Let me see how much time I have. I might have to go for another tape because this is a big day. How much time do we have? One more tape. Well, actually, a couple more tapes.